My sympathy is with the friend in bed being asked for 3 loaves of bread in this morning's gospel. I can guarantee there wouldn't be 3 loaves of bread in my cupboards. However, I'm sure we would manage to find something to offer. Today is Social Services Sunday, and as I am very slowly and reluctantly moving towards retirement at Te Tāpui Atawhai, I am, after working with our homeless CBD whānau for the last 20 years, I'm going to share some reflections of those years. I've worked with 3 missioners, and I do remember Dame Diane saying to me when she retired, she regretted that she hadn't made an impact on homelessness. When I first became aware of our homeless CBD whānau, I genuinely expected every one of them to be housed and safe by the time I retired. How much I had to learn and how much I have learned. I now can use very technical terms such as PTSD and borderline personality disorder and, of course, trauma-informed care. They aren't much use most of the time as they are labouring and belittling terms. We need patience and aroha, and this needs to be in an unending supply. We had many knocks on our door when we lived in Hampton Court, mainly requesting bedding when it was cold. In fact, I was recently walking down the laneway at Home Ground when a streetie who I hadn't seen for some years said to me, "Fire, when did you move out of the city?" He had buzzed our old apartment wanting a blanket to be told we no longer lived there. We had moved out 12 years ago. It seems that address has never been forgotten. I remember a very cold winter when we had 10 streeties in each of our porches here, and it was so cold I was so tempted to ring the vicar and ask if I could open the church. That group has been housed for many years, and I rarely hear from them, except if there's an event and they need someone to listen. Many have passed away, as a streetie's life is very short. All have had challenges, and some of those have made changes, and they have taken time and courage, and every one of them has my aroha and admiration. Housing long-term homeless whānau is not as simple as finding a whare and giving them the key. It requires time, support, and it doesn't always work out. Imagine having your earliest memory being unsafe in your whare. Imagine never feeling safe in a whare. Imagine always being in a state of hyper-arousal. We now have Home Ground, which is housing 40 of those long-term homeless. Every day presents a challenge, and they're always different, and every day you see small steps of joy. Be it those looking after the garden on level 9, or those volunteering at the Mission Grocer. One memory I hold very dear in my heart was watching a tane who had been on the street since he was 9 years old. The Mish had always been his home, and he now had his own whare at the Mish. That smile was unforgettable. He recently passed away. He was 47 years old. In 2016, our now manutaki, Helen Robinson, talked me, and let me tell you, she really talked me into this, taking up a role in Calder Health. She said I could make it into the role I felt was needed. Jump to 2025, we have an outreach nurse, health coach, health improvement practitioner, and Awhi Ora support workers. We work with our whānau for health needs, for social needs, or just to be with them if they need. It's about relationship building and acknowledgement of our whānau and their stories, and that story can take such a long time to hear. Kat, our outreach nurse, and I work very closely with the other services at Te Tapui Atawhai. We support the outreach team, street to homes, key workers, and our residential services. Our whānau health needs are that of the general population when they're 65 plus. They're in their 30s to 40s. Try getting the health system to give you services like that. The mission has changed in the 20 years I've been involved. I remember when outreach was Wolf Holt and one other social worker, if he was lucky. This is now a team of 7. Their work never stops as homelessness never stops. I also wish to acknowledge this team's amazing mahi. I get sent some very difficult referrals from Auckland City Hospital, and I received one recently that made my heart sink. How are we going to find this tane who had such complex health needs, let alone help her? Well, outreach within 2 weeks had found her, and she is now housed with her partner, and there are supports in place. That is amazing. We knocked on doors, and the people of Tamaki Makaurau responded with donations that allowed us to build home ground. I have heard Helen say we could fill 3 more, and she is right. Some years ago, we used to do what was called the homeless count on a Sunday night here in the CBD. The figures are immaterial, as we never found the streeties in their usual sleeping places. Rough sleepers don't like to be counted, and they certainly don't like being numbers. I have deliberately not included statistics this morning, as they are depressing, shocking, helpful to our leadership when negotiating funding. There is a meaningless to them. The number of homeless is not the problem. It is the trauma they carry that is the problem. I remember our current missioner saying on a social services Sunday here in 2015, we need to love our tamariki. This is where we need to start the healing of our most vulnerable. I've been called Nana or Fire for many years now, and I am honoured and humbled to hear these terms of aroha from our whānau. 2004, I thought the issue of homelessness would be sorted. 20 years later, it isn't. Will it ever be sorted? My prayer is it will be. It will happen with mana and aroha and our tangata tiriti working together. The mission's values are manatakina, rangapua, atawhai, and manatika. This will lead, I hope, to the end of chronic long-term homelessness. It will require our society to acknowledge that kai, housing, and fair access to healthcare and an end to poverty are basic human rights, and all our whānau must have access to these rights. Amen.